And we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another BPTV here on a Sunday. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate your time and attention. I know you could be doing lots of other things, but you're here and you're talking to me, which is great. And we are talking about tapering for BJJ competition. Now, this is a thing that gets neglected. If anything, I would say abused because jiu-jitsu people do not know how to taper. Basically, it's go as hard as you can for as long as you can and then just roll into competition. This is dumb. This is not the way we do it, my friends. If you look at any other sport, including like just every major professional sport, having a period of taper is absolutely key. Whether you're an MMA fighter, footballer, cyclist, any serious professional sport requires a taper. So if you've done this, and I was guilty of this back in the day, of just training absolutely as hard as you can up until that, like maybe say you're competing on Friday, and then you like train as hard as you can till Thursday, have Friday off, like have some rest, and then compete on Saturday. This is the worst thing you can do, actually. You need a solid 2-week reduction in overall training volume. And I'm going to explain to you guys exactly how we do that. If you have any other questions around what you may have done getting ready for competition, we're going to talk about eating. We're going to talk about how to maintain your intensity, weights, rolling. We're going to talk about complete rest, and then also recovery sessions and competition visualization. These are all keys to the jiu-jitsu competition puzzle. Now, if you're not doing any of these, that's cool. I'm not attacking you, but I am going to say you need to start doing these things. If you're going to do a jiu-jitsu competition, you have to show up in absolutely the best form and be uninjured, which is hard to do. So let's get into that. So here's the thing that I find even at the highest level, like world champions, we would do a training camp for the world championship, and literally 2 weeks before worlds, it would be crazy. I'll just adjust my mic level. People would be fighting to the absolute death 2 weeks before comp, and then people getting injured just a week out from competition. And just because they put all that time and energy into it, they didn't want to give up or quit. So then they'd just tape it and they'd come into the comp weaker because they were injured, right? So let's think about this. This is coming from a sports science background, and this is what I learned through doing Taekwondo and also study that I've done with regards to getting athletes to peak. So this is something we don't talk about in jiu-jitsu. Peaking is where you are at the absolute zenith, the top of your energy, your fitness, your basically your nutrition, the weight you need to be, the strength you need. It's that perfect balance of absolutely everything on the day of competition, not a week before or feeling really good a couple of days after. It's on the day, and peaking for competition is very hard to do. So let's break down what it takes to have you at your peak on the day. So step 1, 2 weeks out from competition, you have to start to reduce your total training volume. How much? 30%. So I'm going to give this, that might sound like an arbitrary number, but I'm going to put it in here in the notes. 30% reduction in training volume. So when you hear volume, we're just thinking total. So the total amount, that is your training volume. So whether that's in the gym or on the mats, I should say it is both, you need to reduce the total training volume. So let's say, for example, right now, you are training 5 days a week. You would look to reduce that by 2 days or at least 1 day. 1 day, and then reduce the actual time on the mat. So even though people are like, yeah, but the competition's right there, you are not building fitness 2 weeks out from the comp. Understand that. If you're not fit enough 2 weeks before the comp, you won't be that much fitter on the day of the comp by going really hard 2 weeks before. It is so key that you know that you have to put that preliminary work in 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 12 months before to make sure you're fit. If you're working on your fitness 2 weeks out, you're making a mistake. because it actually takes a lot longer to get that adaptation, that central adaptation where your heart and your lungs get a lot better. So 2 weeks before, we're going to reduce it. So 30%. So how do we do that? Total training volume. Let's say that you're in the gym 3 days a week. We're going to reduce that to 2 days a week. If you're rolling 5 days a week, cut it down 1 or 2 days. Or what I'd say there is if you're like, no, I have to roll every day, you need to reduce the total amount of mat time. Now, we're not decreasing intensity. You need to keep your intensity because you need that for competition. You need to go to a degree of effort and strain your system and still work your lungs. But instead of doing 10 rounds, you're going to do 7 or 6. Instead of training for an hour and a half, you're just going to train for an hour. Now, this might sound strange because you're like, oh, how do I maintain how good I am? How do I maintain my skills? Your skills are already practiced. This is the same deal, guys. If you're thinking that what you're going to learn 2 weeks before the competition is going to make or break the comp, you are mistaken. Yes, you can learn in 2 weeks. You can get smarter, but you will default to your game. You're just going to fall back on. We don't rise to the height of our hopes. We fall to the lows of our training. So whatever is your game will be your game. So when you're tired, when you're exhausted, you're going to default to your game. So any new techniques are not going to come through. So understand it's about refining. It's about making you absolutely at your best for energy. And that comes from doing less, but better. Less, but better is what it's all about. So 30% reduction in training volume is 2 less rolling sessions, potentially. I mean, if you train 3 days a week, you only need 1 less. You should only be doing 2, right? But we want to look at your skill practice, and we're going to talk about that next. When you're in the gym, instead of doing 3 sets or 5 sets, only do 2. Reduce it to, if you do 5 sets, reduce it to 3 sets. You want to come out of those sessions not feeling knackered. Now, I know this is strange because we're really sold on pushing ourselves as hard as we can. But I'm telling you guys, the key is you actually want to come into the competition with your nervous system, your musculoskeletal system, and your energies, all of your energies, at their highest. You want to have all the glycogen in your liver stored at its highest, all the energy in your muscles, the blood glycogen, ATP, at its highest. And you want to be feeling like hyper, like I really want to do something. That is the feeling you should have. You shouldn't come in feeling tired, sore, and flat. So how do we do this? So we're going to have 2 or 3 less sessions a week of lifting and rolling. How do we maximize intensity? You need to simulate competition conditions. So start standing. I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine recently, blue belt guy, young guy, very fit, great at jiu-jitsu, and just got the intensity of competition, just like, oh, he's like, whoa, we don't roll like that at my gym. Well, you got to replicate it. And he's like, oh man, I usually pull guard and I got taken down and he lost on takedowns. He's like, oh, I got to practice takedowns. Like, yes, you do. But also, if you pull guard, you have to start standing and you have to learn how to initiate and pull guard without giving up points, without them tapping your foot and getting 2 points. It is so important that you are simulating competition conditions. This is part of your taper. This is how you take it from general training to specific training. So if you know, say you're a blue belt and you're doing 6-minute rounds, you need to be doing those 6-minute rounds and you need to be fighting at a competition intensity. You don't need to do that for the whole session, but let's say for at least 3 rounds, you need to be doing comp level intensity. Because if you know that you've got 6 guys in your category, you're probably going to have 3 matches or 4 matches. Now, remember that we're not actually trying to get fitter here. So you're not trying to do all these rounds to build up your fitness. Your fitness is established. What we're trying to do is hone in on your strategy. So you need to do less rounds, but keep the intensity the same. If anything, dial up the intensity a little bit. Now, this could be a little bit risky because this is an opportunity where you might get injured. So that's what people find, that like going really hard, they often feel like, oh, I might get injured. You've got to make sure that you're training with partners who you trust. They know your game, you know their game, and you know how to work with each other so you don't get injured. But you need to be able to dial up and have no one get offended, because some people get a bit upset. They get emotional. Like you take them down or you pull guard, you sweep them and they land a bit hard. People get emotional. It's like, guys, it's comp. You need to take the emotion out of it and just focus on replicating competition conditions. So you are very well rehearsed. All right. So let's have a look at not just intensity and specificity, which is start standing, even have a referee. It's great if you've got a friend on the side, they can come in and referee and score points and even record the roll so you can have a look at how you did under that scrutiny. And even having in-house competitions is a great way. Having an interclub is a great way to get everybody in that comp mode of having everyone watching and really performing. Really good to replicate that. Now we're going to talk about diet, guys, because we want to maximize energy. So this is something that doesn't get talked about enough relevant to competition, because a lot of the time jiu-jitsu people are trying to, oh, I'm trying to cut weight, man. I'm not eating any carbs. Like, this is pointless. The key thing is, are you trying to get good at losing weight, or are you trying to get good at jiu-jitsu? If your jiu-jitsu is very good, 5 kilos doesn't make much of a difference. Like if you go up a category, down a category, like if your jiu-jitsu doesn't stand up, then you're not good enough at jiu-jitsu. You need more practice. If you can only beat people who are lighter than you, then that tells you your technique's not that good. Even if you're a light person, I'm being honest here, guys. If you're a 50 kilo person, you should be able to compete with 55 kilo humans. Obviously, it's different if they put you in the 60 kilo category. 10 kilos is a difference. But even then, your jiu-jitsu needs to be able to stand up. So what are we going to do? We need to make sure we're fully energized. So we need to maximize carbohydrate and maximize fats in our diet so that we come in, even if we come in, right on the weight management is a key thing in your taper. So you need to be doing enough activity to be on weight. Now, we're not going to talk about weight cutting today because I feel like this is something that is distracting. We're focusing on good jiu-jitsu, good technique, and you coming in with big energy. So what do you need to do that? What is actually worthwhile is in the 2 weeks, we're talking this 2-week period, first week, like of the 2-week taper, reduce your carbohydrate intake. Now, we're just manipulating the variables here, guys. We have a thing called supercompensation. Now, this comes up a little bit. This is how the body, you'll see a lot of people in the nightclub doing this too. So, yeah, you see that short guy, but he's wearing all the jewelry. He's like, yeah, I got money, girls. Don't worry about how tall I am. Our children will be well looked after. Supercompensation. So here's the deal. If you deny your body something like fat or carbohydrates, your body will dial up the amount of enzymes in your digestion getting ready for that thing. Like week of the taper, week 1, reduce your carbohydrate intake. So what that means is when you come to week 2, so let's say, I'm not saying no carbs, I'm just saying less carbs. So if you usually have rice every day, don't have rice every day. If you usually have bread at most meals, cut that back, cut your pasta back, reduce your oats. I'm not saying keto, I'm just saying reduce. So we want to really significantly reduce our carbohydrates by, say, 50% of our usual carbohydrate intake, but still give you enough energy to train. Then in week 2, we're going to dial up. We're going to go way up. And every meal, we're actually going to have like 150% of the carbohydrate we would usually eat. So for some people, you'll find that, oh man, I'm going to feel bloated or I've got too much water in my system. Now, if you've managed your weight correctly, this will not be a problem. But if you haven't, okay, you don't want to take this advice. This is not about weight cutting. This is about loading carbohydrates, building up your glycogen stores. So that last week before comp, we want to reduce activity and up our energy consumption, carbohydrates and fats, so that you have your maximum energy on the day of competition. Now, it's going to feel weird. You might feel a bit sluggish. Your digestion might be a bit off. You might feel a bit restless, like, oh, I want to do something. That's fine. That's how you need to feel. You need to feel almost like when you've been caged up or you've been in isolation, you've been cooped up inside for too long. You're like, let me bang, bro. Put me on, coach. Let's go. You get this vibe, right? You need that. You do not want to be showing up flat. So here's the key thing. Not only are we upping our carbohydrates significantly at each meal on the week of competition, we actually want to reduce our training to almost nothing. So I'm going to say the last week of training, you only want to do 2 actual rolling sessions and 1, maybe 2 lifting sessions. But we've got to seriously reduce the volume, We don't want to be sore. We don't want to be tired. We don't want to be tight, but we want to keep our nervous system clicking. And this is where drilling comes into play. Skill practice is key. So here's the deal, guys. 3 days of complete rest. I'm going to type it. I didn't stutter. I know some of you are going to get upset about this. 3 days of complete rest. Now, some people are going to disagree with me here. Now, the only exception to this is you are going to do some drilling. So yes, the day before comp, get together with one of your training partners and do half an hour to 45 minutes of specific skill practice. Takedowns, guard passing, guard pulling, sweeps, back takes, like practice your game specifically, but no rolling. No rolling at all. And I'm going to talk to you about what we're going to do next to kind of compensate for this. So say your comp is on Saturday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, no rolling. That's right. So if you wanted to roll that week, you might go Monday, Tuesday, but then no rolling after that. I want complete rest. Also with your lifting, maybe a lifting session on the Monday. That's it. 2 rolling sessions, 1 lifting session, no more. This is how you taper. Don't get FOMO. Don't freak out like I'm being lazy. If you look at all other sports, they successfully bring their athletes to an absolute peak of energy and performance by looking after themselves. This is how you do it. I promise you. So if you're practicing for a big comp like Worlds or Pan Ams or the Pan Pacific Championship, whatever your big championship is, you need to actually reduce your training significantly. We need the 3 full days of rest. This is why. 1, we've got to build up those glycogen stores. That's number 1, maximum energy. Number 2 is your nervous system. Your nervous system actually takes a full 3 days to come back to full tick. So if we think about a battery, when you lift and you do heavy weights, it's going to take at least 2 to 3 days for your nervous system to come back. Even though your muscles might feel ready, you'll not be at your full powers for 3 days. We want you at absolute maximum energy on the Saturday. That's why no lifting, no potential injurious activities 3 days before comp. Now, drilling. You may drill just to get the skill practice, just to get your nervous system clicking and maybe have a light sweat. But what you actually need to do is visualization. This is one of the things that we never do in jiu-jitsu. It's almost never practiced, is how to think about jiu-jitsu. So in striking, they do shadow boxing, and you have to do a lot of visualization with actually seeing the person in front of you and moving. So some people do solo drilling, they do solo drills for jiu-jitsu and they imagine themselves in roles. But we have to imagine the day of competition, the noise of people yelling, coaching, being in the bullpen, being ready, and then also making sure that you have rehearsed your success. If you haven't seen it in your mind first, it will be very hard for you to create it in reality. So you imagining taking the back, choking that person, spinning under, taking the arm bar, sweeping them, coming on mount, choking them from top. If you haven't seen it in your mind, you will not see it in reality. You actually have to take time every day in those 3 days where you're not training to visualize, and you are literally creating it to occur in the comp. Visualization, and I'm not talking oogie boogie spiritualism nonsense. I'm saying literally, this is how the great athletes train and practice. They see it in their head first, and then they go and do it. It's not like a surprise, it just happened, pot luck. That's not it. You plan it, you strategize, and you execute. So you spend 10 minutes sitting, in a quiet place, just breathing very normally, no special breathing, but imagining yourself putting on your gi, doing your warm-up. You see your coach, you see your training partners, you do your drills, you get ready, you go out to the mat, you see your opponent, they line you up, you're on mat 3, 10:30, here we go out, shake hands, let's go, boom, pull guard, boom, takedown, shoulder throw, you're going for it straight away, like you see it working perfectly, and then finish that person, boom, your hand gets raised, next competition, like next round. Breathe, recover, get myself calm again, G up again, let's go again. And you go through this mental process for 10 minutes and you visualize all your matches. So you have 3 or 4 matches, and then you see yourself standing on the top of the podium and you getting the gold medal for winning. It's important that you do this mental rehearsal in order to be successful, because you actually are creating it in your nervous system. Sounds strange, but actually you're getting all the neurons firing so that when you happen to show up on comp day, you are actually successful in this way. And this is what is never discussed in jiu-jitsu. I'm going to answer a comment. My guy, Troy Vanderlight, last few comps I've planned for, I've been injured about a month out and had to withdraw. Advice on competing with injuries, as I feel like going into comp without any niggles is near impossible. Yeah, it's a good call, Troy. I'm not saying no niggles. You will have niggles. It's jiu-jitsu, right? You get kicked in the face, someone cranks your finger. It's the nature of the game. Definitely, it's not hard to compete with niggles. And often injury pushes us to work our game in different ways. But if you're getting injured a month out from comp, then you got to look at the nature of the injury. Was it something that you could have controlled? That's a good question. Or was it a training partner getting a bit wild and going a bit hard on you? Because this is a learning process. Maybe that's not a good training partner for you to work with before comp. The other thing you've got to have a look at, and maybe I'll get you to reply in the comments, can you just let me know the nature of the injury? Because sometimes if it's not a major injury, you can manage it so that when you get to comp, it's not so bad. So it's not so bad that you have to withdraw. I understand you said you've had to withdraw. Now, you said the last few comps. So what is it about your training leading into competition, which is meaning you're getting injured? Now, I know we all like to train hard and we're trying to get that competition vibe. It's super important that, going into comp with niggles, just deal with it. Like your intention is to compete, even if you have a broken wrist, even if you have rolled your ankle and the ligaments in your ankles are torn or anything, you can still compete. You just won't do a great job. That's the thing. You're paying the money, you're showing up, and the injury could get worse. So I totally understand you're never going to come in physically perfect, but we have to question your preparation. So if your joints are strong and you're doing enough lifting, enough flexibility, and you're recovering, you're less likely to get injured. If you don't mind, Troy, if you're happy to put it in the comments, what was the nature of the injury? How did it happen? Give me some context. Because if this is a repeated thing, then your system for preparing for competition is flawed. It's not working. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to like victim blame here. I'm not trying to say it's your fault. I'm just wondering, what are the variables that cause you to keep getting injured before comp? We need to change that. So let me know. The next thing after we talk about visualization, guys, and practicing your success is recovery. So in those 3 days, to also make sure your body is in peak condition, we're going to do recovery sessions. And I'm going to give you guys a bit of a highlight or a bit of a note across how you can run a recovery session. So we're going to go pool and sauna session. How do we do that? This is to get you in peak condition. So this is something I always used to do 2 days before big competitions, just to get my body feeling fantastic, loose, relaxed, and fully energized. Here's the deal. You want to go to an aquatic center that has a sauna and also, a pool, and they'll have showers. So we're going to do hot, cold contrast. And I've talked about this with you guys before, but I'm going to share with you a little piece of the puzzle, which I haven't talked about too much either, which is getting horizontal. So get in the sauna, get everything vasodilated, like get sweaty, be in there for say 10 to 15 minutes, whatever you can tolerate. Now, we're not trying to just go full Joe Rogan and just go mental on the heat shock proteins. It's actually to get the blood really flowing. Then you got to go cold shower. Oh yeah, just cold. Just blast yourself, cold shower. And then you only want to do that for about a minute just to get the vasoconstriction. So we've had vasodilation, getting the blood vessels open, and then vasoconstriction, where it pulls it in nice and tight. And that means the blood swirling around, cleaning out any waste products, and it's constricting blood flow. Then I want you to go and get in the pool, guys. You're going to hold the side of the pool and let your legs kick up kind of horizontal. Now, you could use a kickboard potentially. So you could just hold the kickboard like a floaty board and kick and do a lap or two like that. Or just hold the side of the pool. Now, I'm a terrible swimmer. I'll be honest, I just sink. Hold the side of the pool, let your legs float up and kick continuously, like kick pretty hard for 1 minute continuously. Really pump the legs, because this is going to force the blood through your legs, but also because you're horizontal and you're in water, the is it barometric, thermometric? The pressure of the blood in your veins will dial up. It's something like it goes up like I think it's 40 to 50% and helps push the blood back to your heart. So any of the the deoxygenated blood. So we've got the blood in our capillaries, which has oxygen. It's red. It gets delivered to the muscles. But then once we use the oxygen, that blood goes into the venous system and it's blue because it doesn't have oxygen. And then it's full of waste products and it needs to be delivered back to the liver, back to the lungs, back to the heart to get oxygen again. Now that process is actually kind of slow, but by you getting horizontal in a pool and kicking continuously for a minute, you force that blood back. And by being in water deeper than 1.2 meters, that also turns up that pressure in your venous system. So then we're going to repeat this probably 3 to 5 times, depending on how much time you got. So that whole process, it might take you an hour and 10 minutes, but I'm telling you, after that, you're going to feel loose and you're going to feel good. Your legs are going to feel fresh. You might feel a bit tingly and a bit weak. You might even want to feel like asleep because doing the hot cold really helps relax your nervous system. You might even feel like a nap, but that's good. If you can do that each day before the competition for those 3 days of rest, you're going to come in feeling so good, you won't even know yourself. And I definitely encourage people to do a recovery session at least once a week or once a fortnight to just restore your body. If you're not in the habit of this, you've got to get up on that. So that's, I'll write it down. 10 minutes in the sauna, whatever you can handle. Obviously, if there's a lot of like older European men and they're only wearing a towel, you don't feel comfortable in there, I get it. Maybe try the steam room, but steam room is actually much more intense. So you could do that for not quite as long. So we do 10-minute sauna, 1 minute cold shower. And yeah, cold shower is a killer. And then we're going to do 1 minute kind of paddling, we'll say, horizontal paddling. And we're going to repeat this 4 or 5 times, depending on how much time you've got. Doing these recovery sessions has a massive impact on returning blood flow to the heart, getting rid of all the waste products in your body, making sure the muscles are all repaired, and your nervous system is pristine, which is going to make you feel strong, powerful, energetic, all these things. So get around it, guys. So that's it. That is absolutely it. Now, Troy, let me know, man. Like I'm going to stay on here for another minute or two. For any of you out there, if you're watching this, if you have any questions or comments, even if you have a question about a topic which is unrelated to competition, tapering, that's totally fine. Hit me up. I'm available to you. I want to be as helpful as possible. So what's going on this week? We've got our man Julian coming in. It's really cool. Shout out Julian Rees. He's our guy, our first ever Bulletproof for BJJ intern. So that's super cool. He's coming in. He's helping us out, learning a lot. And yeah, guys, we're looking to expand, and I am prepping to get over to see you guys overseas. So if you're watching this and you're in the USA or you're in the UK, even if you're in Europe, the goal is to be visiting Poland, Italy, and Spain. So if you happen to be in any of those countries and you see this, from July of this year, I will be coming out and we will be traveling through Europe, UK, down to Brazil, and then up to the US. So if you would love to have me for a seminar, we're going to be focusing mainly on mobility, but if you have access to gym space, barbells, dumbbells, kettlebells, etc., I will also be able to run a Bulletproof for BJJ strength seminar. If you're interested, feel free to email me, jt@bulletproofforbjj.com. That is jt@bulletproofforbjj.com. And let me know if you'd like me to come to your city and run a seminar. It'd be so great to meet you guys in person. So if you're seeing this, you're looking here, QL strain this time around, torn rib cartilage, dang. I think this is one of the most important. You need to be able to have hard rolls that don't result in injury. And people can do it. You've got to be able to go, was I going too hard? Were they going too hard? You've got to be able to modify. And so at different times, different positions, muscle strains, you can definitely work with, Troy. So if you've got a muscle strain, should only take 2 weeks to really heal up. But if you have a torn cartilage in your ribs, it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks minimum. Ribs take forever to settle down and heal, especially if you've got a tear in the cartilage. So I think in terms of having a QL strain, you can work around that, get therapy on it, and get yourself still ready for comp. But then when it comes to something like ribs, if you get cartilage in your ribs, you're going to struggle to cough, let alone compete at your physical peak. But if you keep getting injured close to competition, maybe you actually need to reduce the intensity so that you can come into comp that bit fresher. As much as I stress to keep your intensity up or to push it, in your case, it may be worthwhile to reduce it slightly or work with people who you can beat. Now, this sounds strange, and this is the last little thing I want to leave you with. You have to practice success. Sounds like that makes sense. It's kind of common sense. No, we are constantly looking to get our butts kicked, choose the challenge, get our dose of humility. That's all good. But actually, it would be worthwhile if you're a purple belt, train with some blue belts, practice your game and just kick their ass. Like practice success. As much as you need the hard rolls, when you're tapering, you actually need to just be winning a lot. Like you don't need to be having big problems. You need to be practicing winning and seeing it consistently, how you are executing to actually be successful. And so that may involve not training with the hardest training partners, training with people who are slightly less skilled than you, so that way you can control them and actually execute your strategy and practice it. Practice success. That's what I'd encourage you to do. Maybe a lighter person, slightly less skilled, but make sure you're practicing the skills you intend to do in the competition. I hope that helps. Thanks for the comments, Troy. Appreciate you, man. Now, for any of you out there, really, Hayden, what's up? Thank you for tuning in. Like I said, guys, I will be on the Bulletproof for BJJ World Tour from July of this year. And we're going to be out there traveling for 3 months. I hope to get a city near you. Even if you want to leave a comment below this video or contact me directly at jt@bulletproofforbjj.com. Much love to you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this video was helpful, please feel free to like and share it. And if you're interested, guys, we're going to be doing a lot more content like this. So feel free to check out our podcast, which is Bulletproof for BJJ on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere where you stream those things. My friends, thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a great week. Between now and when I see you next, stay bulletproof.